Isabela, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful islands, the most remote. Over here, you really feel like you are in the middle of nowhere. Those are incredible sites for marine life. In this place, Amloberia, it's incredible to do shallow water snorkeling. And then we move to the Amazon. The wildlife is guaranteed, which is amazing to go and see the jaguar and the monkeys. But I would say that is most fascinated to see is more details of the ants or some creatures. These look like back in Jurassic time. And let's start about myself. I was born and raised in Ecuador, in the north of Ecuador, actually. This is me around maybe 10 years ago in action guiding in the Galapagos, I think. I moved into Quito more than 20 years ago, and I've been living here in Quito. Quito is the capital of Ecuador. Here's my family. I just went to the Galapagos around a week ago with my 2 kids, and of course, we all love to be outdoor. The next picture is just to memorize the place that I was born and raised. Is surrounded by crater lakes, like this one is a crater actually named Cocha. And I was born in a small place called La Esperanza. I am, again, drawn to ecotourism and pretty much nature, but of course I love adventure. I have had the opportunity to represent very large brands such as National Geographic Expeditions as a guide, not only in Ecuador, also in other countries. But I started in the Amazon. It takes a little bit of my my heart, because that is where I started as a guide, as naturalist in the Amazon. However, I moved into the Galapagos. I spent more than 3 years in the Galapagos, and then a few countries around South America. And I'm gonna try to share a little bit, about my knowledge over here today. This is just a little bit about, again, my family, about my last trip. I always say life's a beautiful gift. And I think, after being in the field for more than 13 years, very active, I had a dream that actually bring all of these incredible and authentic experiences, life to the clients. And I was always in love about life. And that's why I have this saying, life's a beautiful gift, because I live every minute of my life to the fullest. And that's, amazing. Anyway, I will be talking about Galapagos, which is a very worldwide, known destination, and also Ecuador. If we put those two together, I will say that it's a natural paradise, and there is a lot of things to do, and we have volcanoes, rivers, oceans, lakes. I mean, it's incredible. Every part of Ecuador is kind of like a pack of many activities that you can do. We'll be talking a little bit about sustainability as well. And in general, I'm going to focus on 3 parts of the country, which are actually where we have the most incredible activities to do. That's going to be the Galapagos Islands, the Ecuador, the Andes, of course, again, worldwide destination. And I'll leave you with this video. I said before, I'm going to focus on 3 major regions that we have in Ecuador: the Galapagos Islands, the Andes, and the Amazon. The video is kind of like a little summary of what is going to be my speaking today. But just to localize yourself, we are located in South America, and of course, we're surrounded by Colombia in the north, Peru, and then we have the Pacific Ocean. Ecuador has 4 regions. We are among the few countries in South America that we have 4 regions. Most of them only have 3 regions. And it happens to be that Ecuador, it is the most diverse country on Earth per square kilometer. And this is very important for us Ecuadorians. And I think, it's very proud to be here, because we have more number of species in flora and fauna than any country in the planet. Each square mile or square meter. Even though we know that there are 17 mega diverse countries on Earth, we are in between these 17 mega diverse countries. Let's start, let's look at this picture. It's maybe the number one picture about the Galapagos Island. This is Bartholomew Island, top of Bartholomew Island. But that's the Galapagos Islands. Let's focus on the Galapagos. It's an unknown place. It's like, it is really impressive to be there. You feel like, like maybe what Charles Darwin felt when you're there. Every step you do, there is a new thing to see and to discover in terms of wildlife. And happens that all animals are fearless. It's exactly how you see it over there. In parts, it's full of green and vegetation is full of life, and in other parts, it's like you're in Mars. And that's the idea, because this is all volcanic islands. This is the map just to, kind of like land you in where is the Galapagos Islands. It's located around 600 miles away from the mainland. And the only way to connect the Galapagos is by flight. Galapagos have 13 major islands. We have around 42 rocks, which are less than 1 square kilometer. We have, more than 100 that small rocks, I will say, around. But, the Galapagos Islands should be like Hawaiian Islands because they all come from volcanoes. But it happens that in the Galapagos, there are 3 tectonic plates, important tectonic plates. One of them is pushing the Galapagos towards the mainland, kind of like South American continent. And that's why some of the islands are not any longer volcanic. For example, Española and San Cristobal, they eventually will go underwater, while maybe Isabela, which is all of this big island, and Fernandina, where the hotspot is located, where the volcanic activity is located, maybe will move and there are new volcanoes, right? And then we have Cocos and Nazca Plate, where actually they are drifting even in north and south. And that's how we find islands all over the place. However, the Galapagos is being populated, with people, but very small amount of people. We only have around 30,000 people spread in 4 islands, which is, San Cristobal, where we have actually an airport. We have Santa Cruz, San Cristobal with around 7,000 people, Santa Cruz with around 20,000 people. And the biggest and the most remote, which is Isabela, only 2,000 people. All of these 3 islands have enough infrastructure to actually host, hotels and actually allow tourists. And we have Fernandina as well, with only 200 people. Actually, over there is very limited the services that we have. And most of our trips and actually the adventures and the activities are in between these 4 islands. When we do island-based, island hopping. But there is also cruises all around, the Galapagos exploring, that they actually go around all of this navigating. That's just to give you a little kind of like general information about the Galapagos Islands. And of course, again, one of the most recommended combination, and we will be kind of like talking about this, it's going from Quito to San Cristobal, maybe flying to Isabela, and, end up in Santa Cruz and come back from Santa Cruz. The navigations in between these islands, it happens to be around maybe 3 to 4 hours. But when we move into a small plains in between islands, we can actually save the day, and then improve that on activities. But let's continue. So I'm going to be talking right now in San Cristobal, the capital of the Galapagos Islands, which is actually, I call it the Sea Lions Island. And you will realize why. One of the main places to go and visit, which is only around 5 minutes outside of the main town, it's called La Loberia. For the Galapagos people, the sea lions are called lobos, and the translation is actually of lobo is wolf, but they're not wolves, they're actually sea lions. These sea lions managed to be in the Galapagos from the broad, but swimming down by the hot current of El Nino. Maybe you have heard this current, which is coming from California, and they are, they swim to the Galapagos Islands. La Loberia is no more than a place, a beach, which is a nursery area for sea lions. Over here we have some babies, and, it's very good fun. But the picture says a lot, because in the Galapagos, you can't be as this close, maybe 3 feet away. However, we can never touch the animals, and those are all regulations of national park. But sometimes, guess what? animals come so close to you that they can actually touch you. And of course, the idea is that we don't touch the animals. In this lower area, as in most of the places, what you can do is walking for exploring, own land and meet wildlife all around yourself, and also swimming, which is the other part of maybe 50% of the wildlife of the Galapagos Islands is underwater. In this place, Amloberia, it's incredible to do shallow water snorkeling. We have two ways of doing snorkeling in the Galapagos because that's one of the biggest activities we do in the Galapagos. Shallow water snorkeling is that you go from the beach to the water and you return to the beach. And deep water snorkeling, you go from boat to the water and you return. And you can actually have something like this. and this is true. You can get maybe 2 feet away of green Pacific turtles, which is actually what we have in front of us. There's also some places that are just a couple of rocks that remain from volcanoes. Those are incredible sites for marine life. And this place is called Kicker Rock. It's only around 25 minutes in a boat that hosts only 12 clients. And you can do here snorkeling and diving. Most of these adventure activities of a day are a combination of snorkeling and hiking. And this place is among the 5 best places to do snorkeling in the Galapagos Islands because we can approach to large wildlife. And this is the thing in the Galapagos, right? And when I first arrived there, of course, I maybe had the same as you, right? About the sharks. It's like, there's sharks. I should move out of the water. But that's not true. In the Galapagos, when there's sharks, you can actually, kayak comes, get excited, Hey, people, please come swim. Here's the sharks. And we bring, people together so we can actually enjoy the sharks. We have plenty of different types of sharks in the Galapagos Islands. But in this particular site, we can approach 2 hammerheads. And when you do diving, this is one of the most beautiful experiences, I would say, when you have school sharks actually swimming on above of you, which is incredible. By the way, Galapagos and I think Cocos Islands are among the best, top of the line, places for diving. And this is why. Again, I told you it's an island of sea lions. Literally, when you are walking by the main town, sometimes you have to move the sea lions, away from the chairs and from the tables where you're going to have a coffee or a drink or, a beer. And it's incredible. They're all over the place. There's so many of them. And not only sea lions, you will be able to, of course, in this small island called Lost Island, you can also see these other species of birds. Birds is among some of the most unique kind of like wildlife. And so we can actually see them this close. And these are fantastic. These are magnificent frigate birds that they are, when they have this, red puffed up kind of like balloon, is when they're mating. We also have these blue boobies. We call them boobies, and they happen to have different color feet. And that's funny because they have red feet, and some others have blue feet. Some others, they don't have. They just have brown feet, but they have like a mask in the face. That's why it's called mask booby. Isabela, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful islands, the most remote. Over here, you really feel like you are in the middle of nowhere. And it's also very beautiful to walk around the town. And people's very chill, and people's very friendly, very welcoming. Sometimes streets are not even paved yet. Internet, this is amazing. I'm going to tell you, when you visit the Galapagos, please, you should be able to disconnect, because internet, even though it's some places I say it's working, is really never working. I always say to my clients, let's don't ruin the internet, our beautiful time in the Galapagos, because, we go there exactly for that, to realize how nature and how beautiful nature is and how we can actually immerse. And that's how locals live. They are actually living in the daily, sometimes they maybe get news every 3 or 4 days. The way we combine in between San Cristobal and Isabela Island is by plane. This is a nice seated plane. And actually, again, picture of my family because we just did that. Isabela is a combination of volcanoes. This is the word actually the active volcanic activity is happening. And this is Sierra Negra volcano, second largest caldera of a shield active volcano on Earth. First largest is in Gorogoro in Africa. And this is a huge caldera, It's only 40 minutes outside of main town by car, and then is around 10 miles back and forth. and you actually get to walk for around 20, 40 minutes along the rim. And guess what? Sometimes, you can see in some parts the volcano is still smoking. Again, remember, and in Ecuador, the same thing in Ecuador, when the volcano is active, instead of running around, we actually go and try to find a place to see it. That's how we grew up. That's how we live. And, we are surrounded by active volcanoes. On one part of the island is all green, as you saw, but the other part of the island looked like Mars. It's like literally like no one single vegetation around, and pretty much, it's all previous volcanic eruptions. And then the beach on this type of islands is just like a white sand powder, it's like the powder milk. It's incredible. And what we do over here, Isabela, for me, is the adventure island. So because over here we can do kayaking, we can do biking, we can do trekking, we can do snorkeling, and it's amazing. So what we do a little bit of kayaking, but not only as the active, because we all like to be active. I mean, I'm very active in my daily basis. However, it's nice to be active, but also exploring like animals around there. So it's actually a lot of entertaining. The kayaks, for technical things, little things, they are double seated. We provide you life jackets. We go kayaking on a small rock around and to explore wildlife, and then we do snorkeling. And look at this is what you would actually be looking at. You can be looking at penguins, which is incredible. Just what you not only penguins, there's sea lions and some rays, some turtles, and it's incredible. When you do snorkeling, sometimes these penguins are really, really there for like hours, and you can get this close, which is actually, this picture is very interesting because I am just on the other side of the rock, taking a picture of a couple of clients. Yeah, this can be you. It's fantastic. As well as this is a marine iguana. And let me tell you a little bit about these guys because it's my favorites because, iguanas everywhere in the world, but they are mostly, on land. When they arrived to the Galapagos, of course, there was no vegetation around. There was only rocks. And that's when they actually, evolution pushed them to go underwater and start feeding. And they feed on algae. They can hold their breath, for 40 minutes without coming to the surface. It's incredible. And they have adapted to actually desalinate themselves later, which is amazing. These look like back in Jurassic time, I would like to say. It's beautiful to actually swim with them because they use their tail like a propeller. It's fantastic. They're, again, among my favorites. Technical things, these are the boats that we go exploring. When we go exploring sites just around, this is actually lava tunnels. There's some lava formations, that are actually underwater. And those are perfect shelters for all types of marine life, like small turtles, like small rays, small reef sharks, where we actually go in the water. Snorkeling activities in the Galapagos happen to be in between half an hour to 45 minutes. We provide, wetsuits, fins, and masks. Temperature of the water of the Galapagos from December to April, warm, maybe around 75, and maybe May to November, especially June, July, which is your summertime, happen to be cold. Galapagos Islands is washed by 5 currents, 2 very important currents that are worldwide known. Humboldt Current, coming from the Antarctica, a cold current, and El Nino Current, coming from California, from the north. They both join in the south, in the coast of Ecuador, and goes wash to the Galapagos. This is how the penguins arrive to the Galapagos and the sea lions arrive to the Galapagos. They actually arrive swimming. I'll ask you a question. How do you think that the iguanas arrive? They cannot swim for so long, right? For a boat to go from mainland Ecuador to the Galapagos Islands, it takes 3 days. That's how all of the provisions come. And of course, what you go to do is actually exploring by boat and do snorkeling. This is lava tunnels again. You can get this close to seahorses, which is fantastic. But not only that, the islands like Isabela, you can do biking by the sand beaches, and when suddenly you encounter with giant tortoises, which is fantastic as well. But you can rise up in the morning. Normally activities start around 8, you're an early bird. You can go for a jog, and this will be, your company. Not many people, animals around. And then we finished talking about Isabela. Over here, I can see, look, Isabela is a combination of volcanoes together, right? Let's say that each of these volcanoes, it was actually a different island before. But after all of the, eruptions, now they are all together. Just to give you an idea, the formation of the Galapagos Islands, right? Then we have Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz, of course, it's not anymore volcanic, but it's the one that allows, it's actually the one with more facilities. The biggest towns are here. And it's nice to be here. This is what I love especially about, and if you ask me, I will totally recommend an island hopping trip because the wildlife is guaranteed. And if you are kind of like an active person, then you can do, but also the taste of the local people. Like, it's fantastic to go and work, for example, in the fishing market of this place. It's incredible, like sea lions all around and people trading, and it's just fantastic. Santa Cruz is the island for giant tortoises. These guys can, weigh over a couple hundred kilos, and they can be over a couple hundred years as well. They can be gigantic, right? And this is an incredible picture because, until they're 20 years old, they never go to the islands. They are actually mostly by the ocean. And remember, some of these islands, they can be, over 1,000 meters, which will be 3,000 feet. And this is what we do. Walk surrounded with thousands. Actually, Santa Cruz Island has more than 3,500 species of giant tortoises. Remember that giant tortoises, if you are a little familiarized with Charles Darwin, and, the theory of the evolution of species, based on these finches and all of the different shape of their beaks come from different parts of the way that they actually feed on. The same thing with the giant tortoises. We have 12 different species belonging to different islands, and some of them can be very interesting shape of the shell of the tortoise, which is incredible. This used to be volcanic, remember, not any longer volcanic. I mean, it's still volcanic, but active. And we have huge lava tunnels. These are actually sinkholes. And you can go exploring these lava tunnels. Charles Darwin Research Station, these guys still doing a lot of scientific work there. It's fantastic to go and see it and all of the work they've been doing. And this is what I'm talking. This is, for example, called saddleback giant tortoise. Saddleback, why? Because the English kind of like seat for riding horses, it's the saddleback. It's called Galapagos in Spanish, and that's why they're named Galapagos Islands. Another important thing that I was going to tell you is that in the Galapagos, for example, is important to understand, we have a lot of endemism. Endemism means that it is only seen in this place, in the Galapagos Islands, and that's why a lot of the animals tend to happen to be called Galapagos sharks, Galapagos penguins, Galapagos, and it always comes to be Galapagos. And it's because they're unique species, like this. Again, a marine iguana on the white sand beach. And I put a little bit of relaxing because there's a time also to go and explore yourself, beautiful beaches in the Galapagos. This is the other, type of bird with the blue feet, which actually they are very, very, very nice. They can be very close to us all around the trip. In all of the islands, it's possible to see it. This is the ancestor of the marine iguana. And let me tell you here a trick. These guys arrived to the Galapagos when there was already vegetation. That's why they don't have to go underwater. So there is time difference in between arrivals to the Galapagos. It may be millions of years, right? That's how, again, the Galapagos, if you've never studied biology, you never know about the evolution, this perfect place to understand it. It's incredible. So we also have land iguanas in the Galapagos, but of course they arrived when there was already vegetation and these guys are feeding outside of the water. A couple of goodbye from the Galapagos because now we're going to move to Ecuador. Ecuador, again, Quito is pretty much the main kind of like gate because of our international airport and because all of the adventure, especially activities, are located by our mountains, by our jungles. So that's why we start in Quito. Quito is surrounded, as this picture, surrounded by volcanoes. This is actually Cotopaxi volcano. But there is, on a clear day from some of our lookouts in Quito, you can actually see up to 16 different peaks, including 4 of them are snow covered, which is incredible just around Quito. Again, Quito, as I said before, is the second highest capital of Ecuador. The first one is in Bolivia. We are 2,800 meters above sea level, which is just over 8,500 feet, more or less. So there is altitude over here. And in Ecuador, weather never changes. Weather, it depends on how high you are and how close to the ocean you are. This is one of our saints. Ecuadorians, we are very religious, mostly Catholic. And of course, actually Quito's old town is one of the most well-preserved, a UNESCO town and the first ever declared UNESCO city on earth. So it's very nice to go and see that. And of course, you find temples in the Greek churches and all of that, right? And that's why this is actually a Lady Mary, one of our saint protectors from the city in one of our lookouts. But let's talk a little bit of the Andes, this chain of mountains that go across, Ecuador from north to south. And we have iconic volcanoes where we can practice a lot of activities. This is Cotopaxi. It was recently a little active, I'm talking about last year. This recent, it was actually open since January again. Cotopaxi, only around an hour away from Quito, one of the most amazing national parks visited, because of it's very close. We have also Chimborazo. I'm just going to talk a little bit about, some iconic. But this is interesting because it happens to be the tallest on Earth or the highest on Earth. And maybe you might say, Henry, does it know about Nepal or maybe Everest? Everest, yes, it is the highest peak we have on Earth, but measured from sea level. In Ecuador, because the planet is not exact circle, it's flattened on both poles, North Pole and South Pole. It happens that Chimborazo, measured from the center of the earth, and Kilimanjaro in Africa, happens to be the two highest peaks, from the center of the earth, close to the sky or close to the atmosphere, close to the universe. Of course, everything is measured above sea level, but in 2019, we had this fact because, yes, Chimborazo is the closest place from Earth to the sun or to the atmosphere. You can do multiple activities over here, right? Cayambe, the only part, remember that Ecuador gets the name of the equator line, so we are crossed by the equator, that's why our name Ecuador. The only place on Earth which actually the equator lines go through snow and glaciers is Cayambe volcano in Ecuador. So we had a lot of these important facts and that I am always in love to talk about. We have Tungurahua volcano, the actual name Tungurahua, it means throat of fire, and it is being erupting for multiple years, very little. Again, one volcano erupting, we go and look, for lookouts, like this one that we're taking a picture. And you can see parts of the eruption over here, right? Of the last eruption. This is near Baño City, where we do a lot of activities of adventure. But not only those, we have crater lakes. This is Quilotoa Crater Lake, located up at 4,000 meters above sea level. It's amazing. This one is still bubbling. You can take kayak and go and see how it's bubbling, it's active. Actually, one of our most iconic crater lakes. By the way, in Ecuador, we have maybe the only crater lakes in South America, which is amazing. These are also craters. They are also volcanoes. Look at the one I told you that I grew up close by. This is also the same. But we have a couple of islands in the middle. You go to the middle and there's bubbles coming up, which is fantastic. And the other one, this is even better because here is actually people living. It is a crater, but now it's people living. We have around 400 people living there. So people is like, is it serious? Yes, that's happening in Ecuador. And it's fantastic. We have undiscovered places and a little bit more technical for trekkers, people that want to do climbing that we also do. This is Altar volcano, one of the most beautiful we have. But who is living close by all of these volcanoes and all of that? It's actually our native people. And let me tell you something, they're so nice. It's all of these markets, really Ecuador is like a boutique destination where everywhere you go is not many tourists around. And then you can interact with local people in small markets, hands-on experiences we do, like food lessons or handicraft lessons or stuff like this, or like this, that we actually are supporting one of our projects, which is supporting women, and we do a local living experiences with them. And yes, it is just fantastic because the people is what it really make the destinations, right? This is part of our values, and we're always supporting and practicing sustainable communities that we go visit. This is part of our women project that we're supporting 6 families, and we go with clients, and you can actually go and do this, with them. One thing is take a photo, and another thing is to, actually feel it. And our guides always are welcoming you and inviting you, and I always invite, clients to participate. Well, of course, in the end, is what you can do. You can do biking, biovolcanoes. We provide top of the land bikes, all of the equipment necessary. That's not an issue. This is what we do. We do biking, let's say, a little bit in the slope of the mountains, getting into the tropics, and eventually you find maybe beautiful lookouts with waterfalls or, llamas or alpacas, that actually just are on the road. They have to move them around to go biking. On these slopes of the volcanoes, moving down, let's say, to the Amazon or to the tropical areas, we have this kind of like incredible lookouts where we do, just swinging away from, from the edge, which is fantastic. But it's just a picture. You're actually not very far away from the ground. It can be your picture, but the lookout's amazing. The town down there is called Baños. It's named as Baños because there's hot springs or thermal water over here, and people go and take a bath. But it's surrounded by volcanoes, waterfalls, rivers, where we can do rafting, kayaking, and all of these, activities in this area. It's one of our all outdoor towns. Hot springs, as I just told you before, Tapajat Hot Springs, beautiful location. And then I would like to share with you a little bit of a video of one of the main trips that we offer with 57 hours, which is trekking along the Andes. And it's what I was talking to you about, right? Meeting local people. We do have incredible picnics for our people. There we go. You can support local economies, just renting a donkey to come out from this volcano. Actually, this is doing the Avenue of Volcanoes, going to Quilotoa. And again, there's markets, going to the snow, walking up a little bit, not to the top, because you need technical gear for that. And of course, enjoying markets, staying in beautiful haciendas, historical, and why not? Crossing canyons and by waterfalls and by cable cars. It's just fantastic. So most common thing to do around these volcanoes is trekking. We do trekking where no tourists are seen. Sometimes local may run away from you. Yes, you can wake up in the morning and do kind of like run down, to the Crater Lake if you wish to. These are some of them, just beautiful pictures that I cannot stop sharing. On the way to go there, we have to cross canyons, and some of them are narrow, like as you can see. This is the kayaking I was talking about, where you start the kayak, you can go, and there's bubbles coming up, and it's very interesting. The altitude of this volcano, the water temperature should be 10 to 20 degrees, which will be around maybe 40 Fahrenheit, but it is not. It's a little warmer than that. It's because it's an active volcano, which is fantastic. A little bit of the way that we prepare picnics for our people. Usually this is Chimborazo volcano. We do walk to the base camp only. The base camp, you are already 5,000 meters above sea level, which is over 16,000 feet, just to feel the altitude. Not only that, horsing as well. If you want to, do horse riding around, this is just a little bit of the accommodation we use. And then we move to the Amazon. In the Amazon, again, the Amazon is shared by 9 countries in South America. Ecuador has only 2% of all of this Amazon. However, in these 4 national parks, we might have a huge diversity. Just to give you an idea, only in Yasuni National Park, there is more than 650 species of birds. There is over 700, in whole Europe. Just to give you an idea of the diversity of our place. And yes, I will share a little bit about our Amazon video. We have lodges, around by lakes. We have salt lakes or places with high concentration where parrots go. But of course, there's also the people, the shamans, not only the big, everyone wants to go and see the jaguar and the monkeys, but I would say that it's most fascinated to see more details of the ants or some creatures that, it's just amazing. We do kayak among flat water, rivers that they are going like a snake shape, deep in the Amazon where no people is around. And of course, the experience is like you are away from your comfort zone. In some of our places, we do practice homestay where you actually have the chance to interact with local people, which is fantastic. Of course, they share their rituals with you, right? Have the ritual to go in or to ask permission to the Amazon because they believe a lot in Pachamama, Mother Earth, right? And they believe a lot on that. And they go paint themselves when they go, inside of the forest, asking permission. So maybe they do the same to us. But not only that, we do have a little bit of adventure practice on those, let's say, canyoneering, because parts of the Amazon are still on the slope of the Andean ranges, where there's, big waterfalls. And over here, we're doing, a little bit of beginning canyoneering, I would say. We go abseiling. But it's not only that. Look at here, we have shaman, They share with us all of their spiritual knowledge. And why not? Cacao is from the jungles of Ecuador and Colombia. That's the origin, of cacao. But very interesting, our previous people before the Spaniards here in Ecuador, they used to actually trade. So the cacao was the very first way of currency because they used to trade. Nowadays, of course, we have very nice dark chocolate in Ecuador. You should come. We have won many, many prizes for our dark chocolate. The upper part of the Amazon rivers with white water, with the rafting. This is a beautiful river running all year long. It's called Hatun Yaku. A little bit more in action of rafting. This is how you actually share with local people. You're eating with them local food. This is the shape of the rivers that we do deep in kayaking, and you go exploring. The gear we provide for kayaking, double-seated inflatable kayaks. There's no rapids over here, and then you can explore your own. Not only the chocolate color water, we call it white water ecosystem. This is a black water ecosystem. Of course, here is perfect place to see anacondas. We also explore those lakes, black color water lakes our people. So this is the Waorani people. The Waorani people, they were only contacted in the early 60s, late 60s. So some of them, they still don't know how to count. Can you imagine that? These people, they're still living from the forest. The Waorani people, actually, there's books and documentaries about the Waorani done by National Geographic and BBC. We go to similar places to where they do see all of this wildlife. I would like to stop a minute because this bird is a very prehistoric bird. According to some scientists and, biologists, the linking between reptiles and birds, because this bird, it cannot fly very long. And when they get wet, because they live close by water ecosystems like rivers and lakes, the only way that they return to their preys is by climbing, because under their leaves, they have some claws. And they look very prehistoric. And of course, parrots, the most common ones, and monkeys, why not giant otters, and the rivers, and why not, jaguars, it's fantastic. It's actually one of my favorite animals. I've only seen it twice in my life. Of course, one of our groups saw it at the beginning of January. I was very jealous, but anyway, why not? Anacondas, right? That could be a little more easy to see than jaguar. Some of the values: the nature likes to learn, purpose likes to grow, nature likes to change, secret likes to dare, beauty likes to give. Again, remember what I said at the beginning. Life's a beautiful gift. We live it to the fullest. And now, come. I can't wait to see you around here. And of course, show you my home. We wait for you here.